In a world obsessed with effort, struggle, and achievement, the idea of not trying seems counterintuitive. Yet Lao Tzu introduces us to Wu Wei, a concept that defies conventional wisdom. Wu Wei is often translated as non-action, but this is misleading. It does not mean doing nothing. It means aligning oneself so perfectly with the natural flow of life that action happens effortlessly. Imagine a great musician lost in their craft, or an athlete in a state of flow. They do not force their actions. Instead, they surrender to the rhythm of the moment. This is the essence of Wu Wei, acting in perfect harmony with the Tao, the fundamental force of the universe. Society glorifies relentless effort. We are taught that success comes through struggle, pushing harder, and exerting control. But have you ever noticed that the more you force something, the more resistance you encounter? The harder you try to fall asleep, the more awake you become. The more desperately you seek happiness, the more elusive it feels. Wu Wei teaches us a different approach, one that embraces ease over strain, allowing over forcing, and flow over resistance. It is the paradox of effortless effectiveness. By not striving, we often achieve more. Wu Wei is not about passivity or laziness. It is about mastery. Consider the way a skilled martial artist moves. Instead of rigidly forcing their opponent into submission, they yield, redirecting energy with minimal effort. A river does not fight against rocks in its path. It flows around them, gradually shaping the landscape. This is the wisdom of nature, action that arises spontaneously and perfectly suited to the situation. We often believe that control leads to success. But what if letting go of control is the key? The best ideas come when we stop forcing them. The most profound solutions emerge when we relax and trust the process. Wu Wei suggests that when we act in alignment with the natural order, everything falls into place effortlessly. It is about trusting the current of life instead of swimming against it. The greatest leaders, artists, and thinkers embody this principle. They do not impose their will forcefully. They adapt, respond, and move with an almost mystical ease. The modern world conditions us to equate effort with worth. Work harder, push through, never give up. These are the mantras drilled into us from a young age. While perseverance has its place, blind effort often leads to burnout, frustration, and inefficiency. Wu Wei offers an alternative. What if we focused not on doing more, but on doing what is necessary with precision and ease? Consider high-performing individuals who appear effortlessly competent. A master chef does not stress over every cut. They move with fluidity. A great teacher does not rigidly force knowledge onto students. They create an environment where learning unfolds naturally. The best entrepreneurs, instead of micromanaging, understand when to step back and let things develop organically. This is the power of Wu Wei, knowing when to act, when to wait, and when to simply allow. Nature embodies Wu Wei perfectly. Birds do not struggle to fly. They simply spread their wings and let the wind carry them. Trees do not resist the seasons. They adapt, shedding leaves in autumn and blooming in spring. Nature thrives not by force, but by harmony. What if we lived the same way? When we stop fighting against the natural order, life becomes lighter. We make better decisions because we are no longer driven by desperation or fear. We experience less stress because we are not clinging to rigid expectations. We become more creative because inspiration flows naturally instead of being forced. Wu Wei is an invitation to embrace ease, to trust that life unfolds as it should. It is not about abandoning goals or ambition. It is about approaching them with grace. It is about knowing when to push forward and when to step back. And most importantly, it is about realizing that sometimes the greatest power lies in surrendering to the effortless flow of existence. Humans have an innate desire to control life. We meticulously plan, strategize, and attempt to shape reality to fit our expectations. Yet Lao Tzu reminds us that control is an illusion. No matter how much we try to predict or manipulate the future, life remains unpredictable. The more we try to grip onto control, the more it slips through our fingers like sand. Consider the way we approach relationships, careers, or even personal growth. We set rigid expectations, believing that forcing things to happen will lead to success. But have you ever noticed that the more we try to control others, the more resistance we encounter? The tighter we hold on to outcomes, the more stress and disappointment we create. Letting go does not mean abandoning responsibility. It means recognizing what is beyond our control and learning to move with, rather than against, life's natural rhythms. Imagine a sailor fighting against the wind, trying to force their boat forward through sheer effort. Now picture another sailor adjusting their sails, using the wind to their advantage. The second sailor understands the wisdom of surrender, working with, rather than against, external forces. This is the essence of Wu Wei when applied to control, knowing when to release our grip and allow life to flow naturally. Lao Tzu teaches that true peace comes from surrendering to the way things are. This does not mean passivity. It means moving in harmony with life instead of exhausting ourselves in a battle against it. The less we resist, the less suffering we create. The more we embrace the present moment, the more clarity and ease we experience. How can we apply this wisdom in daily life? In relationships, letting go means allowing people to be who they truly are, rather than trying to control their actions. In work, it means focusing on what we can influence and trusting that results will follow. In personal challenges, it means accepting setbacks as part of growth instead of resisting change. The greatest breakthroughs often come when we stop forcing solutions and allow insight to arise naturally. The most successful leaders, artists, and thinkers understand this. They do not micromanage every detail. They trust in timing and adaptability. Letting go allows us to live with greater peace and effectiveness. Uncertainty is inevitable, yet we spend so much energy fearing it. What if instead we embrace the unknown? The greatest adventures, the most profound discoveries, and the deepest joys often come from unexpected turns. Lao Tzu's wisdom teaches us that when we stop clinging to control, we become like water, fluid, adaptable, and at peace with whatever comes. Letting go is not about giving up. It is about trusting the flow of life. In that trust, we find true freedom. Water is often seen as the softest, most yielding element, yet it is also the most powerful. Lao Tzu, in his profound teachings, compares the Tao to a river that flows effortlessly, adapting to its path without resistance. When water encounters an obstacle, it does not fight against it. Instead, it flows around, adjusts, and continues its journey. This principle of flexibility is central to Taoism and teaches us the true meaning of resilience. In a world that often values brute force and control, the Tao encourages us to reconsider this approach. We are taught to believe that strength is about pushing harder, forcing our way through obstacles. The more rigid and unyielding we are, the stronger we seem. But the Tao reveals a paradox. True strength lies in adaptability, in the ability to bend and flow with life's circumstances, rather than battling against them. Much like water, we too must learn to navigate the challenges of life with grace and ease. Rather than resist change, we can embrace it, knowing that flexibility and resilience go hand in hand. Just as water finds its way through even the tightest crevices, we too can learn to move through life with fluidity, adjusting our course when necessary without losing our center. In our relationships, in our careers, and in our personal journeys, the principle of going with the flow is often misunderstood. It is not about passivity or inaction, but about responding to life with intelligence and awareness. When we force things to happen according to our own will, we become rigid, unable to respond to the natural flow of events. The Tao teaches us that true resilience comes not from fighting against the current, but from moving with it. When we surrender to the natural rhythm of life, We are able to navigate through challenges with less friction and more ease. Think of a river again. It is always moving, always adjusting, but it never forces its way. It doesn't stop when it encounters an obstacle, nor does it desperately try to push through. It simply adapts, finding the path of least resistance. This is how we can live our lives, fluid, adaptable, and resilient. In this sense, Taoism teaches us that life does not require struggle. It requires us to trust in the flow of things, to align ourselves with the natural course of events, and to respond with the same grace and strength as water. In our fast-paced world, success is often equated with constant effort, relentless hustle, and the accumulation of achievements. We're conditioned to believe that the more we push, the greater the reward. But Lao Tzu's wisdom flips this idea on its head. He teaches us that sometimes, achieving more comes not from striving harder, but from doing less. The concept of Wu Wei, the art of effortless action, reminds us that by letting go of the need to control every outcome, we open ourselves up to the natural flow of opportunities. The paradox here is striking. When we stop forcing things and instead align ourselves with the rhythm of life, success comes more easily, more organically. The key to this principle lies in releasing our attachment to results. When we are overly fixated on outcomes, we operate from a place of anxiety and fear, which often leads to exhaustion and burnout. Instead, by focusing on the process and acting with purpose but without excessive force, we allow our efforts to flow in harmony with the universe. This doesn't mean inaction. It means purposeful action without the burden of expectation. In fact, many of the most successful individuals throughout history, artists, inventors, and leaders, have embodied this principle without even realizing it. They worked passionately, but they did so without forcing or striving relentlessly. They allowed their creativity to flow naturally, which led to breakthroughs and accomplishments that felt almost effortless. Wu Wei doesn't deny the value of hard work. It simply encourages a more balanced, more sustainable approach. When we stop trying to control everything and start trusting the process, we become more attuned to our own inner wisdom and intuition. This is the foundation of real success, acting from a place of calm, alignment, and ease, rather than desperation and struggle. The true paradox is that by doing less, we can achieve more, not because we've worked harder, but because we've learned to work smarter, in harmony with life itself. The teachings of Lao Tzu and the Taoist philosophy remind us that life is not a battle to be won, but a flow to be embraced. The art of not trying, the practice of Wu Wei, is about aligning ourselves with the natural course of things, trusting that we do not need to force every outcome. By letting go of the need to control, by being flexible like water, and by understanding that true success comes not from excessive effort, but from effortless action, we open ourselves to a deeper, more harmonious way of living. The beauty of Taoism lies in its simplicity. By doing less, we find more. By trusting the process, we discover a life that is rich in meaning, purpose, and joy. The path to true resilience, success, and peace lies not in fighting against the world, but in flowing with it. So, the next time life feels overwhelming, remember the wisdom of water. Flow with the current, trust the journey, and allow success to unfold naturally.